there was also a relationship between tomorrow's Urja and full moon and so on.
Should I have to boast about myself?
Yes.
As you know, it is Parabrahma, that is the complete divine power, or the Holy Ghost is the complete divine, is the complete desire of God, which has taken a form. Now imagine, God is just a spectator. He is not one who is going to create anything. He is just going to destroy actually. Because if he doesn't like the spectacle, he can destroy and the desire disappears. Like any desire you have within yourself. The complete desiring power within you. Without that, what are you? You are just watching your desire working it out. So this desire power is the left-sided thing, as you say. And then first it has to come to desire. The desire becomes then the action power. And action and desire together start evolving things. So everything is inclusive in that, whether you say sun, moon, stars, everything. But the moon is the desire. Ultimately, when it also collapses back, first of all, it works out, it evolves, and then again when it is reversed, you see, then it goes back to desire. Desire disappears into the spectator, and the whole thing becomes a Parabrahma thing. So the identification with one or the other cannot be said, it's everywhere. If it is everything, how can you identify with anything else? Moon is one of the symbols. Moon is one of the symbols. Why? Because according to Sahaja Yoga, we reached a stage where you touch the Sadashiva in the symbolic form. See, or if you can say that after getting realization, if you see the abstract form of God, then we say after reaching your Brahmarandra, you cross over your limbic area and then you go to Ardha Bindu. Ardha Bindu is the moon. Moon is the spirit. Because Shiva also wears the moon on his head. Sadashiva also wears the moon on his head. So moon is the spectator, isn't it? Sun is the working part. He works and it reflects on the moon. So you become the spectator yourself and start going into that. So every symbol is the same. And now why we use the moon more than the sun about the timings? Because it is the moon which is more effective in creating desires within us. Like the moon affects even the sea, not the sun. Sun is a constant stuff practically, except for it changes its axis sometimes. And the distances between sun has not much significance with the earth, except that if the earth loses its axis a little bit more or becomes a little flatter, then maybe that the speed of the earth may be reduced. So we can only control the speed. But the moon is a subtler thing, which acts on subtler ways. Because you have seen the moon acts on the tides, it acts on the temperaments. It is a much subtler thing. Desire is much more subtler than the action itself. It's a deeper thing. So the action comes out of the desire. So it is better to affect the desire than to affect the action. And that is why in India people accept moon as the indicator for dates and all that. But in the West, people are so much time bound that for them they would not like to have these variations because they are not prepared for any such variations. For them, 12 o'clock is 12 o'clock. And they are very, very rigid people. Such rigid people are no good. They are not living people. So it is not one way or other. Even Surya, the sun, is very important. But why the moon is important? Because it makes you subtler. And that is why one should achieve the moon, as this. Right-sided people must achieve the moon. Means they should be little bit changing their programs, little flexibility. Otherwise, there's no gap in between. See, they're running like mad. Absolutely, it's a rat race. The whole ego is created by the sun. Complete horrible nonsense. Doesn't give them any idea to see where are they. It's such a barrier, you see. We don't try to see ourselves where are we. Now you have seen the simple villagers who live so spontaneously. Just take yourself out completely and think. Compare to them and yourself, not on. As a human being, as a quality of a person, quality, intrinsic. I mean, one may think anything of oneself, but as a quality. Like Christ himself has said, that if you want gold, I'll give you gold. Gold represents right-sided. If you want gold, I'll give you gold, but you will not enter into the kingdom of heaven, and you will not eat on the same table as I do. Only those who love me, again the quality of love, will sit with me to eat. So the people who think no end of themselves should value themselves at some point. See, they should see what do we think of ourselves. See, what is so great of ourselves? What are we in the eyes of God? All these things are going to be finished. They are nashvara. They are perishable. You are admiring perishable things and thinking that you are great. All right, so go ahead with them. But one has to go with something that is not perishable. And actually, I would say that if the Western people start taking to moon calendar, they would be better off. They'll have some more time. And they'll think of auspiciousness. See, in India, it's very important to know what is the auspiciousness. But what we think of this, 10 o'clock means 10 o'clock, like a teacher who is here now, principal sir. He is a Brahmin, supposed to be. He's an Englishman, I think, must have put a hand on his head. He said, if the program will be at 6 or no. Now there are children there. You can't just do it at 6, it has to be done at 7. He doesn't mind if the children don't get the blessings or anything, but as long as it is at the time at 6. And the time is short. What have we achieved by worshipping the sun to that extent? We have neglected the one who is sitting on the sun, Jesus Christ himself. He is of course, at the crossing point of both. But we have neglected. All that is subtle. Whatever you can see in the sunshine is the fact for you people. Nothing beyond. In the West, I mean. Isn't it? It's not true. Moon has such an influence. I read a book called as Supernature. You might have read also. The fellow has been dealing with some scientific experimentation. And he said there were some oysters. The oysters were placed in Los Angeles, see. So they removed them and put them to some Ohio or some place in the center of America. Now there is no sea there for those oysters. But they used to close and open according to the tidings at Los Angeles for a month. From them you could make out what is the tiding there. Then gradually they started changing. And then they took to the timing of opening and closing. If the moon at that time was pulling the tides of a sea which doesn't exist there in Ohio. As if there was a sea and the moon would come in and would attract this sea. Accordingly, these were opening and closing. Because when there is high tide, they close, and when there is low tide, they open. So, with that timing, they were working. So, the living things have such an effect of the moon. So, I think Indians should become more sort of active, though they are, I think, quite active now. They should not be any more active. Otherwise, they'll become Rajogunis, not Sattvagunis. Only Rajoguna is no good, and only Tamoguna is not good. And if you become too much Rajogunis also, what happens? You get to the bad effects of moon, and then you become lunatics and what paranoid, otherwise all these things come to you, and you go up to that. If you take your drugs, all extreme left-sided stuff is from the moon. Auspiciousness comes from not only from the sun, but also from the moon, mainly from the moon, and also from the stars. Auspiciousness is a very subtle quality, isn't it? Which you cannot see, you cannot understand. How many people in the West also accept astrology as any basis? No. Even William Blake is regarded as a madman. 99% English think like that. They are all very wise. You tell them of William Blake, they say, oh, he is the madman. And for them, that horrible fellow, Lord, who? Was the most sensible person. Now, how could, imagine, 100 years back, how could William Blake say so many things so precisely? You haven't brought that, huh? Nobody has brought that. Huh?
Somebody might have.
Have you got? William Blake?
या
Milton?
या
Huh?
लोणावळ्याला कविता वाचून दाखवल्या मला.
ना तीन आहे. पुढचं म्हणजे केन्सिंग्टन गार्डनचं फारच सुंदर आहे. All right. Then can you go on? Do you know where it is written? Kensington Garden thing?
Marcus has one or two.
Huh?
Marcus.
Marcus knows. Into such details, you see. And then think of this man, 2000 years back, writing about me, that Parabrahma itself will be arriving.
And you will get Kundalini also.
Awakening, 1970 साली मी सुरू केलं सहयोग 5 मेला.
And तेच यांनी लिहिलं 70 साली लिहिलं.
आणि 2000 years back.
हा.
And a new method of yoga will come up. Everything being there, just imagine. So the people who believe in the sun and the timing with the sun, see, live in the bounds of sun only. And also bound of the, what you call the time, which is so superficial. They never think of an auspiciousness, of something deeper. Their whole attitude is so superficial. Whatever you see in the sun, they see nothing beyond. Normally people who come, say, from abroad, not Sir Yogis, because now you have become settlers. What will they see in a country or in a place is, oh God, there are no proper bathrooms. I mean, they're so bathroom addicted also. I don't know. Sometimes this bathroom culture is so much, you just get fed up. Now, if for all nonsensical things, so much time is wasted, you see. I mean, one should be house proud, but to the extent people waste their time cleaning their little brass, whatever they have. Even a rat doesn't enter the house. Sometimes I think what a waste of energy. But when they think that way, then they become so untidy that Baba, it's a pigsty. From one to another. It is something in between. One has to understand. Even to have culture, you have to be in between. Like you must know the sun and you must know the moon. You must have both the things, or there will be no culture in it. Culture cannot develop in an extreme state. Some sort of an extreme thing might develop, but not the culture. And the culture is the thing which supports and sustains the dharma, sustains a human quality. That is the culture.